Today I'm going to share with you a very interesting concept. If you're smart, it's not that difficult of an ideal. But if you're stupid, you might not understand it. It's called decision decides destiny. And before you zoom out, before you think this is some topic that encapsulates discipline, the focus, or things that connote towards motivation, is absolutely not it. It's something different. As usual, this channel is aimed at bringing unique concepts as touching life problems. Individuals are tired of regurgitated ideals, hearing the same thing, studied with personal anecdotes, packaged with quotes from some philosopher somewhere, very devoid of life experiences. So in tonight's discourse, not only would you be hearing logically acceptable ideals, but also from personal experience. As usual, anything I share today is something that has happened in my life, communicated from an intelligent standpoint. There are things I want to share today, but the results that would back up my claims are absent. The Bible says it perfectly. I have many things to tell you, but you are not able to bear. However, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to highlight today is the fact that decision decides destiny. For the longest of time, I've tried many businesses. I've tried as much as possible to be successful. In fact, I would argue that nobody pursued this subject of success more than me. In fact, it's very frustrating to have a conversation with me on the purpose of trying to sound intelligent, because I will tell you where the quote is from, where you read it, which book, and the page number. That's how disciplined and fervent I was, and I still am, in the pursuit of success. It was just lately my brother highlighted this struggle when conversing with me on the basis of trying to sound intelligent. I'll tell you the podcast you listen to, the book, how we suggested it, the color of shirts he put on. If you think it's natural, you try it. Just to establish the backstory. So for the longest of time, I've tried many businesses, which failed by the way, and some did succeed. But before I got to the point of success, I was drowned with the idea, perhaps I'm cursed, because how can someone work as hard as possible, make all kinds of statements, check me out in the next 5 years, and you see how I'll become? And guess what happened? Nothing. Here in Africa, we are taught, because of the kind of environment I grew up in, we are taught that when there's inconsistency between your effort and result, it means a spirit is vetoing your background, a spirit is vetoing your hard work. So all problems should be blamed on the realm of the spiritual. It's the devil's fault. There's some demon in your lineage trying to hold you back. So that's the philosophy, because this is a very spiritual place I grew up in. And I noticed something very interesting. I wouldn't work as hard as possible. I would not get up on time. The taste and quality of life, it just seemed to diminish. There was nothing to be happy about. I wasn't expecting something new. Things of that sort. Until I asked myself, why? What's the use? I work as hard as possible. I get up by 6 a.m. I do XYZ, then XYZ. By my logical calculation, success is the outcome. Why am I not successful? What's the difference? What happens? Is something vetoing my hard work? Well, by your philosophy, nobody in your lineage should be successful, correct? What about your father? He got his first car in the early 90s when bicycle was still a thing of status symbol. What about him? Where was the devil when he made that purchase? It's like a light bulb. Well, because of this vision I have and all of the amazing things I will do, that's why the devil is trying to bring me down. And unfortunately, this belief is backed up by our delusional view of ourselves, which is I'm special, certain things cannot happen to me, I'm unique, or my situation is different. My friend, let me make it clear to you. Decision decides destiny. There were old people and there are old individuals who are at this same spot who believe that just because they had an idea, just because they could think and see things differently, it's impossible for them to be poor. As a consequence, they were lazy, they were undisciplined, unmotivated to achieve their desires. And guess what happened? 50, 60 years down the line, they are martyred with regret and shame. There are people I see a decade later, and I'm tempted to ask the question, what happened? How did it happen? You used to be XYZ. You used to be this. What happened to you? What happened? Decision decides destiny. I've said it countless times, and for the sake of reiteration, I'll repeat myself. Excuse me, I know this is very unprofessional. My apologies, but I've shared this story previously of how I used to record from a fucked up device that would stop on its own because of the heat. So it was a fucked up iPhone 10 previously, such that once the temperature hits the glass back, it gives you that indicator that the temperature needs to cool down, therefore pausing my video, and I would speak, rant, point fingers, and once I'm done, only to meet the shock of my life that the video wasn't even recording. So yeah, I still get PTSD, and this new environment, this new lifestyle, this new success, it almost seems unreal to me. Anyways, back to the point. I've said it countless times, and I'll reiterate that every cause, every demon finds expression with a certain kind of mindset. It is the union between demon spirits and your wrong mindset that produces the outcome. Nothing happens naturally. Let me make it clear. Observe the action you're taking towards your goal. That is, if you have any, and you would notice, you would quickly come to the conclusion that demons are not to be blamed. If you observe the actions you are taking relative to your goals, you would quickly ascertain demons are not the reason for your failure. If there's anything Satan loves, is to be magnified beyond proportion. He loves the idea that you think he's all powerful. Let's speak theology a little bit. Why didn't Satan forcefully collect the kingdom and all of the riches committed to Adam? And if you read that scripture, the serpent beguiled Eve, and once she ate of the apple, she waited. Her husband came back, ate of the apple, and their eyes were opened. Notice, when the lady ate of the apple, their eyes were not open. She had, or the man whom dominion had been committed to, had to partake in order for the outcome to be prosperous. And if you go down to Luke, the devil said that was the only reason the devil was able to make the deal, captioned in the temptation with Jesus, who gave him the keys and dominion over the earth and all of those wonderful things he mentioned. Who gave him? Exactly. So let's come back. I don't want to speak much on theology. But decision decides destiny. What have you decided to do? The Bible said, and certain men set their hearts to build a tower that will reach the heaven. And God came down and said nothing will be restrained from this individual. What have you set your heart upon? What have you decided to do? The only thing that can happen is for God to confuse your language. The only thing that can happen is for you to be confused, to be discouraged, to be demotivated, to be beguiled that somehow causes are responsible for your failure. Somehow is this person's fault. You're never going to be a success. Oh, you're small. Oh, you're 5 foot this. Oh, people like you are not supposed to be successful. Your skin color, you're a black man. All of these shades of limitation are fucking self-imposed. Bible said, and a judge who neither feared God or man, and this widow who had no relationship, nobody to stand up for her, she went on her knees saying, avenge me my enemy. And every single day, as he turned her back, every single day, because of her importunity, the man got up one day and said, I would answer this woman, yet lest she weareth my soul. You can weary destiny until it responds. If there's something I know about the devil, is he can be wearied. It's a deep revelation, but it is true. It is written, it is written, it is written, and he left for a season. You need hard work, ladies and gentlemen. Take this YouTube channel as a case study. I posted every single day, 365 days a year, was consistent, reviewed my videos, made progress off of that feedback. And guess what happened? The universe decided to reward my hard work by losing subscribers. Nothing happened. Success wasn't guaranteed. And yet, you would suffer for a month or 2 months and try to give up, cry your eyes out. You're fucking mad. You're stupid. You're a fool. That's what you are. I've had this YouTube channel for years without progress, before making progress. You want to sit down there and complain. Please understand, when you say you posted video every single day, 600 and I think it was 700 videos before I became monetizable. When you say you posted videos every single day, it's most likely to be trivialized. So I'll make it as graphic as possible. When you get up, you script the content, you meditate, you observe your own life path, you see how luck played a role as touching the outcome. Acknowledge, make sure that it's logical enough such that luck isn't the sole reason why it worked. And once you've gone through that rigorous process, you rant, you shout, you point fingers only to get no views. Listen to the startup story of big influencers, big streamers. It always goes like this. There was this one subscriber or one viewer I had who kept tuning in, and from that one it turned to two, two became four, four became six, and now I have this massive platform. But guess what happened? There was no encouragement in the comment section. There was nobody tuning in, nothing working, nobody was watching, and yet, do you know what it feels like to record 20, 40 minutes of content and the only person who watched is you? And to show up, irrespective of that pin, day after day, to persist. It's difficult. It's difficult. And being as vulnerable as possible to you. Individuals won't share this aspect of their life. They would love to make it seem as though it just happened, or there was no pain associated. It's wrong. Fear someone who doesn't have a come up story. Fear someone who doesn't have scars, because they are too innocent to advise you. There is a requisite level of pain you must experience before you can dispense advice. So the other aspect of our topic is life is cause and effect. Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. As you sow, you shall reap. Cause and effect. Decision has consequence, and the consequence of every decision has been pre-programmed. If I strike a lady, I will catch a lawsuit. She might be in a nice mood, but I'm not willing to find out. Decision. That's the consequence of my action. Now, why am I not in jail? Because I've not made the decision that activates the consequence. So consequences are already being pre-programmed. By this logic, you can already decide your future. The consequence, a good life. The decision, what do I need to do? And irrespective of what is thrown your way, the difficulties, adversity faced, as long as you're working in keeping with those decisions, you'll be fine. Life is cause and effect. Decision decides destiny. If I put my hand in fire, it will burn me. The reason my hands are not on fire, the reason I'm not getting lit, is because I've not made the decision that activates that consequence. The reason you're poor, the reason you're unhappy, the reason you're unmotivated, undisciplined, is because you've not made the decision that activates those consequences. And although you know this, although you conceive this to be logical, or at least you're entertained enough to stay throughout the end of the video, you don't do it. You know why? You know why you end the opposite direction? Because the consequence of bad decisions aren't as immediate as our extreme examples. If you smoke, your kidney doesn't get burnt. If you go to parties, live a hedonistic life, you do not fail immediately. It's a accumulation rather of those decisions that produce a terrible life. I said before you life and death. I said before you blessings and curses. I cannot advise you. I cannot force you. I can only advise you. Choose life. Choose life. Choose life. As always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.